The weather went dark, so it's affected
All
even
right.
my
So,
own life.
Leslie, thanks for joining us today. It's great to have you on.
Thank you. Are you on? No, don't start yet. I'm checking my lighting. I'm checking my
Okay.
lighting. Okay, now I'm back. I'm back. You can start now. One, two, three, go.
You know what? We got all that. Let's just leave it in as a blooper, okay?
Okay.
All right. So go ahead. So we were talking about this movie and the record label that you set up when you were in university. Tell us a bit about that.
Okay. So for the record label, it came in, like I said, after 92, 93, and then I started
Mm-hmm.
thinking of you know talking to, because for one thing, I was someone that also listened to a lot of Fela's music, and I had learned or read about how Fela was able to move the kind of music he played, high life, jazz, and then Africanized it.
Mm-hmm.
That was fascinating for me,
Yes.
and I felt that was how he was able to get this kind of mass appeal that he got globally. And I was thinking, how do we make that to link up with the hip hop scene that was so vibrant in Jos, and then we had artists, real hip hop artists in Jos, like yourself, Smack. Um, I can name quite a lot of rappers that we had then in Jos. There were loads of rappers in hip hop, and I was thinking, how does this link up? Because what I could see, there was a gap between the people that listened to hip hop, which were the youth that followed you guys, but they were too sophisticated for the guy on the streets, and the guy on the streets could not relate to it, and even the radio stations had a problem playing that kind of hip hop. They preferred to play the music that was coming. And let's remember that in 92, 93, the resurgence, the resurgence of hip hop was in 92, 93 also globally, because it started off in the late 70s with Sugar Hill Gang and Curtis Blow
Yes.
and Co. And then it went down, it disappeared.
Yeah.
And then it resurged again in the 90s, early
Uh,
90s style.
so when you say
Yeah.
it disappeared, what exactly do you mean by that? How did it disappear?
Well, it didn't have the prominence and the airplay that the Sugar Hill Gang and Curtis Blow had in the late 70s,
Okay,
early
so what
80s.
period? Because
Let's say
what period are you referring to when you say it went down?
I'm referring to when, let's say from about, let's say mid 80s, there were some new artists that came in, because
Hmm.
I remember that you had Grandmaster Flash and all those guys in 83 and 84, but it went down a bit towards end of 88, that time. Now, that time it had become a little bit more hardcore. The fascination that we
Yeah.
had, the fascination that we had in 79 with the Sugar Hill Gang, they were no hardcore rappers. Curtis Blow wasn't a hardcore
No.
rapper. Then some hardcore
No.
guys came in somewhere, and then they alienated a lot of us. I pulled back at that
Yes.
point. So if you're going to talk about guys like Kumodi, they were there. They were breeding those kind of guys at
Well,
that point.
but some people tell you that some of those years were like the golden era of hip hop. We're talking 87, 88. I mean, that was hot. That was when that was when LL Cool J came out. That's when
86,
KRS
yeah.
One came out. That's when
86,
Public Enemy came out. That's when
86.
NWA came out.
Now, okay, yeah, L. So you see, this is something. It's good that you mentioned this. Out of all the artists that you mentioned, the guys that had crossover appeal was LL. The rest of the guys were
Yeah,
hardcore.
he was like the first sex symbol in hip hop.
And the crossover artists, that's why I use the word crossover. NWA, Public Enemy, they were hardcore guys. They were for people that were, hip hop heads, and the rest of us that were crossover appeal guys, just like Grandmaster, just like Rappers Delight with the Sugar Gang. They didn't have that crossover appeal. So
Okay.
what brought crossover appeal again was '92 with the Chronic. It had crossover appeal. It had a lot of ingredients that brought us back again onto the. So now I'm relating to someone like me that was more into reggae rap, and things like that.
Hmm.
The hardcore rap
Yeah.
had a kind of beat, it had a kind of style, it had a kind of culture that people like you were already there practicing that.
And why
So you were
and
in
why would it be? And why was I there?
that. That's a different podcast. But I met you as somebody that was into hardcore hip hop, and you
Oh yeah.
guys had you guys had your own forum, just like we that had the reggae sound system had our own forum, had our own audience, had our own people, and those kind of people will come and tell you, "Oh, Leslie was in this thing," just like you. Somebody would say, "Oh yeah, the first hip hoppers were LD and blah blah." And you guys had your own different forum in Lagos, in Jos, everywhere. It was a niche group of people. It's the same thing
Yeah.
that was with the sound system too.
I was all over the place, wasn't I?
Yeah, yeah, you were. So you were the guys there that were the core hip hoppers, just like the same thing I
Hmm.
said about NWA and Co.
Yeah.
So in '92, the music had crossed over with more appeal
Hmm.
to more people, and that's why I sold so many records. Because in between Rappers Delight and that, you didn't have so much record sales. Record sales were now hardcore guys playing, maybe selling 50,000 records, 100,000 records, and they were happy with that.
I
You
feel
have
you.
to be you have to be true to the game. It wasn't
Okay.
They didn't do large records because they felt, even till today, who is going to sit down and say Master G or Wonder Mike were great rappers? Nobody will talk about them. But when
Yeah,
they,
but they did
but
their thing, you know.
yeah, but that was that. But nobody's going to call them. Have you heard of Master G? A lot of people tell you I never heard of him.
Yeah, he's not making anybody's top.
Exactly. Hell yeah. Are you freezing?
Am I freezing? No, I mean this is sunny out here. Can't you see? This is warm
Yeah,
weather, man.
I can see you
Okay.
behind the cloud.
So now, how exactly does a university student set up a record label? I mean,
Okay,
that's
so
that's some unprecedented stuff, you know. How
yeah,
does
but
a
L,
university student just get up and say, "Hey, I'm going to put together a record label"?
well, okay, so you see, the whole idea is this.
Don't be juju,
There,
be that.
there was a wave. There was a wave then. A lot of
Uh-huh.
independent black labels sprung up. And me, I was in business school at that point. And at
Yeah.
me, that I had a background in music, I was thinking,
Yeah.
how could I still relate to the music industry? Because
Hmm.
we also had a similar situation in Nigeria.
Yeah.
We had the Premier Music, we had the Sony Music, we had all
Hmm.
these big labels, but
Yeah.
independent labels were scarce also. So
Yes.
I thought to myself, I said, yes, I think I've seen what I'm going to be doing when I leave school,
Hmm.
and I better start now. But
Yeah.
then the idea of Death Row and the idea of Bad Boy Records gave me, and Def Jam gave me the idea that, look, why don't you just start something? But what kind of music are you going to be playing?
Hmm.
Because Death Row came in with their sound. It was
Yes.
West Coast. It was West Coast. It was different, and that was what made it big.
Yes.
So that's what I wanted to do. And then I started thinking, yeah, because I heard, I listened to Fela, seen how Fela use his own unique music also to go
Hmm.
global.
Yeah.
So one of the first few guys I thought about was when I met you
Hmm.
through Frankie. Yeah, Frankie Fresh was hip hop DJ and yourself in
Yeah.
Jos in those days. So
Hmm.
I don't know. Somebody introduced me to Frankie. I can't remember who. And then I told Frankie, hey, I'm thinking of maybe we should work together to set up a radio station. or
Yes.
a label. There were two
Hmm.
options
Yeah.
because I was thinking that we can push African music because my own
Hmm.
idea was what about a rap version of Fela? It definitely will make it. In Lagos, I'd seen a couple of groups try something like that,
Hmm.
but they didn't have a good blueprint. I don't want to call their names now, but there was a group that came out first, and then after that, we had Junior and Pretty who were quite close to it. They were
Yeah.
quite close, but they were more like playing hip high life. I wouldn't want to say hip life. It was like high life, but they rapped on
Yeah.
it, and it was a lot
Hmm.
of comedy in it. It sold. It
Hmm.
created the impact that they wanted. But what I was looking for was something that was going to be representing the black people and was going to be the voice of the black people because hip hop started that way too. Hip hop
Yeah.
was the
Yeah.
voice from
Mhm.
African Bambata and things like that. It was the voice of the the blacks, the black people, and it was the black thing. So that was the blueprint of what I was thinking about. And when I met you,
Mhm.
I was talking to you about that until I met Dell through you. And I said, okay, which rapper do we get that can convert? He's already a good rapper because my formula was get a good rapper that could switch his lyrics into pidgin, and then we'll create a
Yeah.
sound that is more because another place where I felt we were going wrong with the rap thing was we didn't have a sound that was distinct, which is what Death Row created. They also created a distinct sound from P
Yes, they
Funk
did.
and
Hmm.
Bootsy Collins and all the other groups that they put together. So we needed to have a sound. I was thinking, okay, maybe get some things out of Fella's music, get some things out of some African beats, and put them together and have a unique West African sound. That was the whole blueprint. So
Yeah.
besides having a label, not just the label of okay, just getting artists together, but creatively putting what the sound was going to be like, what the culture was going to be like, and then the name and co. So we started working, L, you can remember. Then we
Yeah.
started working with Black Chief, with Pupa, with Dell, with yourself, with
Hmm.
Baron, and
Yeah.
everybody else. We wanted to also create other kinds of, also to put hip hop
Now,
also
now speaking of,
on, yeah.
let me come in here. Speaking of artists, you had to manage quite a bit, a number of artists. Now, managing artists can be a headache. How did you? How were you able to scale those hurdles?
Man, L. Right. When we talk about that, that's a big, big thing, a big question you asked me
Yeah, I mean
because
it can be a headache. So
you know,
how was it for
uh,
you, a college student? So basically, you were dealing with people who were maybe your age or just slightly younger in some cases,
yes, slightly younger because yes, but you see, a lot of them
but not
believed
much
in my
younger.
idea to an extent. A lot of them believed in the idea to an extent because together I worked with you. You introduced me to some people. They'll introduce me to some people. We got ourselves together. Yeah, I had to try to throw the vision in front of everybody. The main idea was that people believed in the idea.
Yeah,
People believed that Jos, let's not forget one thing, L. Jos was the home of hip hop in Nigeria. I can say that confidently.
really.
Pure hip hop,
So
the way you guys were kicking it, the way you guys were kicking it that time, I don't think there's any city in Nigeria
so
that can boast
I mean, you're
what
talking
Jos
as a
has.
Lagosian. So are you saying there was more happening in Jos than there was in Lagos at the time?
Of course, you know why?
Why?
You know the cultural mix of Jos.
Hmm.
Jos has this American thing around it.
I
Hillcrest, the way people speak. A lot of people when their phone is American, it's not British like in Lagos. And don't forget, I
really.
was already, of course, yes, you know that.
But that's just a
Most of
few
the guys,
people, isn't it?
no, 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 no. If you even the rappers, they had the accent. Remember Creature, remember Mr. Hyde. Those guys
Mm-hmm.
probably have not gone anywhere. No, let's not even talk about them.
You say
What
about
about
that?
X-Ray? What about X-Ray? If you listen to X-Ray, you think
Mm-hmm.
maybe this guy was in New York before.
X-ray didn't have a different accent.
No, he had a different accent. He had a different
Are you
accent.
sure about
Why
that?
I'm telling you this is because L, there were people trying to rap in Lagos.
Hmm.
but their rap sounded very Nigerian.
Which is good, really.
No, because you can't be trying to do phone, and all the words they are
Yeah,
using are very Lagos
you know,
words.
the way I see it is this: an accent doesn't really
No,
matter. If you're dope, you're dope, and that's it.
no, no, no,
It's
no.
just that at the
Let me clear you
time,
that.
maybe,
Let me clear you on that. What I mean is this: you can't be trying to rap an American style. Now, this
hmm,
style you're talking about, this style of being yourself, can only
yeah.
work when you are rapping in pidgin or you are being yourself. But when
Okay,
you're trying to sound like Snoop Dogg with an Igbo
what if
accent or a Yoruba accent, my brother, I can't walk now.
what if you're a cat who doesn't really speak pigeon? Because
You
that
what?
happens. What
Sorry?
if you don't really speak pigeon that well?
If you don't speak pidgin that well, it's going to also expose you.
Like in my case, for instance,
It's going to expose you because you see,
I see how
let's look at
people
it this way.
I see how people
Uh,
laugh at
uh,
me all the time.
it's gonna expose you because Snoop Dogg is like I used to tell people then. I said Snoop Dogg was not even rapping in English. He was rapping in the street slangs. He
Yeah,
wasn't
that's
trying to
true, but
be
yeah, a form
because
of
his English.
English, if you will.
No, no, no. It's the street slangs. The only thing he understands is the street slang. So
Hmm.
that's why it's natural for him to
Yeah.
talk in the way he talks because that's how he talks on a daily basis.
So we're saying the same thing here. Do what comes naturally to you.
I'm not even telling them to do what they do, but what I'm saying is what we had then were people trying to rap like Snoop Dogg with an Igbo, Yoruba, or Hausa accent. It just won't fly.
Yeah, that's
But in Jos, you had people that had not traveled to America before, but they had the American accent down pat because the environment in Jos. I met so many people that schooled in Hillcrest or whatever. You ask her, "Oh, where do you get your accent from?" I said, "No,
but
I
you
just
do know you do know that Hillcrest is an American school, right?
of course, that's why I mentioned
That's an American
Hillcrest.
school. So people who go to that school tend to pick up accents because of the people they're with. It's not a Nigerian school. And chances
That's
are
why
the
I'm
people weren't even Nigerians. I don't know
who.
about now, but back in the day, really, the teachers there weren't Nigerians, and more than half of the students.
Yeah. So that's why I mentioned Hillcrest because there was that not only Hillcrest, even other schools. People
They have
bullied.
one like that in Lagos,
I know some
AIS.
other girls.
I don't know if
I
it's
know
still
some
there.
girls. I know girls that went to schools. So, like I'm saying, just I'm telling you from somebody that came from Lagos, not someone that lived in
Okay.
Jos.
All
Uh-huh.
right.
So
So,
from Lagos,
so
I could see that their influence was more American, and then the rappers you had sounded more authentic in rapping in the American way, not in pidgin now.
mhm.
Yeah. So that's what I noticed, and I felt okay. These guys. That's why I said Jos was more like the headquarters of hip hop in that sense
Mhm.
because people could actually flow very well. You hear some flows, you be like, "Wow, where did this guy get this flow from?" And Lagos had rappers, but the rappers were not half as good. I can tell you that. I attended shows with Kimono and the rest. We were doing big shows. So if you're
So
good enough, you see.
what about people like Jiff and A Block, for instance?
Those guys grew up in England. Don't forget, and it was in
Okay,
their
that's
rhymes.
people like that in Lagos.
Sorry?
But there's a lot of people like that in Lagos.
No, no, no. See, A Block even had a show. He had a
I remember
show.
that Bird
He
TV.
rapped on that show, but it wasn't
Hmm.
anything close to. You can't even compare him to X-Ray. No way.
Okay, I think we're gonna have an argument here.
Well, that's good luck to you. But to me, I can tell you that from a neutral point of view, he wasn't my close friend. Probably you're saying because he was your close friend.
Yeah,
These
I think
guys rap
A
with a
Block is
British
good. Come
accent.
on,
I can
man.
tell you that those guys rap with a British accent. Both of them.
Yeah, kind of. True.
Thank you. So just leave that.
All
I
right.
know a
So,
block. I used to watch A Block in on TV before I met
Yeah,
him.
Centerboard TV.
Yeah, it was on TV. I used to watch him on TV.
All right, now let's transition to the point where um you got involved with the Out of Bounds soundtrack. I believe we can
Okay,
pull out a little image of it. Let's see if we can find it somewhere. Okay. Hold on a second. Let me see if I can pull it out here.
okay.
Now, you worked with RMD on that. How did it all happen? Did you just somehow, stumble? Now, there it is. That's the CD cover for the original motion picture soundtrack for Out of Bounds. Now, how
The
did this
first
all
one,
come together?
the first,
Did you
R,
just,
no,
how did you meet Richard
the
anyway?
first soundtrack album in Nigeria.
Yes,
The first.
it was. So, how did that all begin?
Okay, so you see, we were preparing material. If you can, after setting up the label, we
Mhm.
were now preparing material, and we used to
Yeah,
go from studio to studio,
yes.
self inclusive, with all
Hmm.
the groups who had formed them, Black Masqueraders, Ill Conspiracy,
Yeah.
etc., etc. And we used to go to studio and prepare material. At the same
Hmm.
time, we were developing this. You see, that time for this pigeon rap, we called it Akula, which
Yes.
is the short form of vernacular. It was Dell that set that name up. He called it, oh, let's call this style Akula
Where did where did the name come from?
from vernacular. Because you see, we're talking about black power here, just like in the
Hmm.
US. And we know
Yeah.
that one of the things that the colonial masters tried to stop us from doing was speaking vernacular. So
Hmm.
instead of saying, okay, our rap is in vernacular, we say it is Akula rap.
Okay. Akula
Yeah.
vernacular. Okay.
Vernacular.
Nice.
So it
Nice
was
one.
more like it was more like protest music, just like reggae is protest music. Rap started up like protest music, even the chanting and everything. So this is an idea. I say, oh yeah, we call it Akula rap, and we were developing that with Black Chief Pooper, and every day they were bringing up new material. We were testing it out. We were doing a lot of research. This was we're talking about 1995 now, when this was being cooked.
Okay.
So while we were doing that, we left. I left school then and came back to
Hmm.
Lagos with all the material with me, with the promise that we were going to put an album together. Point Blank
Hmm.
Music is coming out, so I came
Now,
back to Lagos with material.
I think there they are. That's an image of Mr. Pooper and Black Chief.
No, this is not them.
That's
This
not
this
them.
no, this is not them. These are Black Reverends. You should
Oh
see
man,
the
Black
name.
Reverends. Remember that group?
Yeah, that's right. That's Black Reverends there. So you can you find Pupa and Black Chief and Dell. They got the photo. So when I got to Lagos, right,
Hmm.
I it wasn't easy for me to put money together because I was thinking maybe if I get my friends to put in some money behind the material, I'll be able to get them to promote for us to go to the studio and make the first song.
Hmm.
It wasn't happening. And then one day I was hanging out at my friend Foley. We were just at his place because I used to hang
Hmm.
out with him a lot that period. And one day his girlfriend comes to the house to say, "Hey, you know what? Do you know who I just saw?" And he said, "Who?" He said, "I saw RMD." I said, "Oh, you saw RMD? Where?" He said, "I didn't know that his office is very close to my house." I said, "You can't be serious." And why was I interested? I was interested because I saw a newspaper interview of RMD saying he wanted to make 4 movies that
Yeah.
year. So that struck me, coupled with the fact that
Hmm.
also in trend that time, they were people were doing what were they called? What was it called? Soundtrack albums in America.
Yeah.
In fact,
Yes,
the first involvement of Death Row was a soundtrack album,
that's
Above
true.
the Rim. So I was like, oh man, this is a good idea. So I went. I told her,
Mm.
asked her, when are you coming back? She said she'll be back on a Friday. I said, please, when you come back, when you're going home and going to your neighborhood with you, you show me his office.
Yeah.
And then I went, drew up my proposal, wrote some things, put them together, typed it, printed it, got it together. And I got my tape, one of the tapes of the materials that we had, and I waited for her on that day. When she came, we she showed me RMD's office. I said, "Is this the place?" She said, "Yes." I said, "Okay, I'll see you guys." I came down from there with my proposal and my tape, and I walked in towards RMD's office. As I was about to knock his door, RMD opened the door and came out. I said, "Are you looking for someone?" I said, "Yes." He said, "Who?" I said, "You." He said, "From where?" He said, "From who?" And I said, "From me." He said, "About what?" And I brought out the proposal. I said, "About this." So he took the proposal from me and then he flipped through it. One page, two page, or like a 4 page thing. One, two, three, four. He said, "All right, come back in." Because he was already locking up for the day. So he opened the
Yeah.
door, we walked back into his office, and we sat down in his office. So he said, what kind of idea is this your soundtrack thing? So I told him, "Oh yeah, we got this beautiful music. We want to do a soundtrack." He said, "Do you have any material that sounds like it?" So I brought out the tape. He played it, listened to it for like not long, maybe like a minute. Then he gave it back to me. He said, "Okay, I've heard it. This must have been this must have been towards like end of the year, maybe like November
Yeah. Hmm.
96, November 96." He now told me, "Okay, I'll be traveling to the UK or something, and let us see in the new year. I want us to keep in touch." And that was it.
That
So in
was it.
97, I went, yeah, so that was it. So in
Okay, let me
97,
get.
I went back. Sorry?
Yeah, back to what you were saying about the first movie soundtrack that Death Row did. I was thinking as you were talking. I think it was Deep Cover before
It was
Above the
deep
Rim.
cover. It's
Yeah,
deep
Deep
cover.
Cover. That was the
Deep
first
cover.
single. That was the first time the world saw Dre and Snoop together.
Deep cover.
Awesome,
That is.
awesome.
But
You
that
remember
was
that?
like,
Yeah,
yes, but if you read the story, they too had a lot of material, but nobody wanted to touch Death Row music.
yeah.
Nobody wanted to touch Dre because of Dre's issues with Easy E. And nobody wanted to play that kind of music because they felt they didn't believe in the music.
Mm,
That was why they had to go through deep cover. Anyway, that's a different story for another day.
yeah.
So
Completely
I
different
saw that.
story.
I was thinking, okay, yeah, we might be on the same path with Death Row, and we're going to shock people with this kind of music. Anyway, so um, come come 97, RMD says, okay, yeah, we can start going to the studio. So I was excited, and first thing I did was to recruit a team because he gave me a brief, what the movie was all about, and everything, a Christian movie, but I felt, yes, I was still going to chip in Akula, chip in L, chip in Ill Conspiracy into this because we're going to make an album. Because the proposal I gave him was that the album was going to help his movie sell because he doesn't need to spend so much on making um, video promotions. All he can do is to play the music on radio and the DJs talk about the soundtrack from this movie, and that is promotion for him and how much it's going to make.
Okay, is this the right image?
Of who? Yeah, yeah.
Black
These are the masquerade.
masqueraders.
Yeah,
That's
these
it,
are the
right?
masquerade. Yeah,
Okay, that was a little bit embarrassing. All right,
yeah,
so as you're
exactly.
saying,
Yeah, so that was why I sold to him and told him that this is going to boost sales of your movies. And it's
hmm
never been done before. It's going to be the first time it's been done in Nigeria, where we're going to have the music of a movie to sell on its own, just like another record. And DJs are going to play it. So all he needs to do for his promo is to give it to DJs to play the soundtrack as a form of promotion, and he doesn't need to pay for
yeah.
that if the music is good. So that was what he
Okay,
was sold on. So he gave me the brief.
all right. So let's talk about some of the artists that featured on this project, starting with the Black Masqueraders.
Yeah. We had Black Masqueraders. We had yourself, also known as Lochnan. We had Mr.
The only
Baron
time.
and X-Ray.
Hmm.
Sorry, we had Mr.
Yeah, go
Baron and
ahead.
X-Ray, and then we had a girl band called Aisha, which we
Hmm.
formed just for the purpose of this.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, those are the guys from Jos. And then we had Dapo Turimiro, who is a big producer now. He worked for me during that period. He was the one that did a lot of the productions for the Christian music because I didn't know how to produce anything like Oh Happy Day and all those kind of things. So I
Hmm.
brought in Dapo. Dapo did that part, brought in the ensemble and the choir that sang all those Christian songs that you hear on that album. It was Dapo that did most of the production for that too. It was, so if you check the album cover, I think you'll find his name written there.
Yeah.
So that was how we were able to produce um, the album uh, at at Ikeja there. And then
Okay.
I went to Jos also. We went to Panam Studios with everybody being excited, and we got all the 5 songs. We had 5 songs from Jos, 2 for Masqueraders, 1 for yourself, 1 for Aisha, and 1 for Ill Conspiracy, which had Mr. Baron and Mr. Baron and X-Ray. The other 2 members were not around at that time for some reason. I can't remember now.
Yeah. Now there were. How did you put together? Because there were people from Jos on that uh, project, and there were also people from Lagos. So how did you put together the Lagos end of it? And they were mostly gospel acts, right?
Yeah, for the Lagos end was that's where Dapo came in. I went to go and look for
Mhm.
Dapo. Actually, I met Dapo at Anthony Village where he was because the person that was supposed to produce the director, yes, the guy that was supposed to
Mhm.
direct R&D's movie was Wale Macaulay.
Yeah.
So R&D told me that I should go and see Wale Macaulay, that he also owns a band called Kazimba.
Yeah.
And if I meet those members, they could help me out in producing that gospel part. Because I told him that I don't know much about producing gospel music. So I went there to watch their rehearsals in Anthony Village. And while we were there, Dapo came, him and a couple of his friends. They said they do gospel rap. But when I listened
Mhm.
to it, it wasn't the kind of rap, from Joss or the kind of rap that, I'll
You were
be
used to a
interested.
much higher standard, huh?
Yeah, exactly. So, but Dapo also sold to me that he was a good producer. He was very good at the keyboard, blah blah. So I said, okay, come in, because he was also doing things like that on that day, like trying to produce people that were going
Hmm.
to.
Yeah.
Oh, have you started?
You what?
Yeah. So he now explained that to me. So I said, okay, come over to AVI, and then he started coming to AVI to come and help out with that. In fact, because
AVI.
most of all, yeah, AVI Studios in Ikeja then, owned by what's that,
Now
Rooster G.
let me just chip in here for those who just started going to studios recently. Back in the day, there wasn't a studio on every street like there is now. You couldn't use every smartphone to produce a song. You had to pay for studio time, and it was quite costly
Mhm.
because obviously
Yeah,
there was very low supply and higher demand, you know.
yeah,
And
yeah.
then you'd book maybe an 8 hour session, and then you'd be there trying to squeeze in as much work as you can within that time, and you'd be looking at the clock, glancing at the clock while you're there. I mean, if only we could take some of these cats, back to those days to see what it really was, they would appreciate what they have now. Now it's a lot
That's right.
easier. It's a
No,
whole lot easier now.
yeah. No, things was
And
it,
then
it
you have
was
to
really
get a
tough.
session man, and you have to, vibe with the session man. Sometimes he wouldn't understand what you want, and it was a lot of work, but it was fun. It was great. And then of course, uh, you had the reel to reels they used to use. You remember that?
That
Remember those?
that that tapes
And then the ADAT and the DATs. Uh, Look,
and
people
then
of
the
a certain
floppy
age
disk.
didn't
And the
understand what.
floppy disk. I see the music
Yeah.
afterward made it. Everything got lost on the floppy disk. The day I was supposed to come to Jos, I
Hmm.
went there and then the engineer told me oh, that the floppy disk was corrupt and I couldn't get anything out of it.
And you
So
know the
I
funny
had,
thing, those floppy disks, sometimes you couldn't even store you couldn't even store much on one.
yeah,
Like some of them you couldn't
yeah.
even put, you could put maybe one song or even just key elements of a song on one. I mean, when you
It
tell
was
people that nowadays, where one device can hold almost an infinite number of songs, they look at you like, "Oh man, you guys must have be from you guys must be from the Stone Age or something."
and I had to get Dapo to recreate all the beats again, all the
And
beats. That
that costs time and money.
oh well
All right, now.
for the money, it was the studio's fault. So, but they gave us only like 2 sessions. So Dapo had to recreate everything. I had to write down all the voices, and I had to do a kind of funny Excel pattern on a piece of paper, and I was giving
Hmm.
them to Dapo and Dapo was creating everything. But yeah, that was one of the pitfalls around then. Eventually,
Yeah,
the beats didn't sound as original as when yourself and Baron produced them originally. They sounded softer because
and
also
let me tell you what we produced some of that stuff in my bedroom at home. We had this little keyboard with a sampler, and that's where it started from. Incredible
so
stuff. Okay, so
yes.
let's fast forward. Yeah, you want to say something? Go ahead.
No, no, I'm just saying that. So that's what happened basically on that end
Yeah.
there.
Okay, now, um, let's fast forward to the award because that project actually won an award. I can't remember which year was it. 96, 95,
No, we
97,
got
98.
the award came out 97. Yeah,
Okay, so
right
what
after
what was the
finish.
award for,
Best soundtrack album.
and who else were they competing with?
I think it was Samuel Bozo and Mike Liam. I think.
So
I think.
were they, when you say soundtrack, does it mean the soundtrack album or the music in the movie?
It was the music in the movie that we actually
Okay,
put on the album.
which was also in that album.
Yes, because
Okay.
every song that was in the album was in the movie.
Now, did that come as a surprise for you? Did you expect that it was going to win an award?
No, at all. I wasn't even doing it for the
So
award. I
when
was
it
just.
happened, how did you take it?
I was even inside the hall. I said I wasn't gonna. That they're not gonna call anything. That we're not
Oh,
gonna win
really?
it. Yeah. Because I
So when it,
walked one day. I went to let me tell you the story. One day I went to RMD's office, and while I was
yes.
there, RMD said, "Oh, Red, have you seen this invitation for you to come to for the award night for this?" And I said, "Oh, award? Oh, I'm being invited. We're nominated. Oh." I said, "We will never get it. These things they give it to their friends." Now,
That's what you thought.
yeah, I said that. I said that to him. I said, but and then he said, "Oh, why don't you just go all the same?" I said, "Yeah, I'll just go for the fun of it." But these things they don't give it to people they don't know. Let me also tell you something. I
Hmm.
didn't use my name. Number one, I was surprised I got an invite because I didn't
Yeah.
use my name. So I used Red Ogumeno, and who is that? Nobody had heard of me. So I
Yeah,
was
but your
quite
full name was
surprised.
there.
Sorry.
Your last name was there.
So my last name is very rare, also.
Yeah, it is.
But they traced
Pretty
it.
much.
They traced They traced it. They traced
Yeah,
it.
but the name Red is three letters from your from one of your names. Am I correct?
Yeah, that's right.
So maybe that's why they figured it out. I mean, one of your
No,
names is Merido, isn't it?
yes. So
So maybe that's how
maybe
they
maybe
figured it out.
maybe also let's not even forget RMD. They just sent it to RMD's office,
Yeah,
wherever
of
this guy
course, of
is.
course, of course.
So I didn't
So how
submit
did?
it. I didn't. Oh, hold on, please, because if you cut me off, I won't be able to flow.
All
I
right, let's go.
Yeah, I didn't submit my material to them for evaluation, which they usually do before an award.
Hmm.
You have to submit your entry. I didn't submit anything. So I was extremely shocked when I got to his office and he told me, "Oh, there's this thing," and I was like, "Nah, we're not going to win it. They're just going to use us as filler. When we get there, we find that they're just going to call somebody else."
Okay,
And
but do you think RMD could have submitted it?
no, he didn't. He didn't
He
even.
didn't.
Yes, and he told me that, and also on the strength of RMD's movie, perhaps
Hmm.
that's why it came up because the Out of Bounds won about 4 awards, but we also won the one for the soundtrack.
Okay. Wow. So how did RMD feel about that? How did he take it? Did he expect it was going to win?
The soundtrack,
Yes.
I don't think so. RMD, forgive me if I say this, but the truth is, I don't think he did because there was a point during the production of this soundtrack album that those particular songs, RMD said that he didn't want to have anything to do with them, that he doesn't understand the music.
Mm.
So I offered to pay for the sessions and tell him that look, that will be my production. I'll take it out. It's mine. And then you can do the way you want it.
Hmm.
So, but where he accepted it was one day we went to the studio, AVI himself, Gloria Rhodes, and Honors Brisby, and
Yeah.
they were searching for the track to play,
Hmm.
and they played one of the songs. I can't remember which one. I was also trying to record Gloria Rhodes on that day and Honors
Yeah.
Brisby, so I really brought them because they're also on that soundtrack album, and I wanted Honors Brisby to do some ad libbing and some chorus for us. So when she heard the song, she was like, "Wow, bros, is this your song? Ah, man, these songs are unique. These songs are." I think that was when it dawned on him that these songs might actually be good. Because why I even say that he wasn't happy at the beginning was that he also commissioned Dapo to go and produce a couple of rap songs, which ended
Yeah.
up in the album, like Busted and all that, which I felt, you know, perhaps maybe we shouldn't have had in there. And one or two other songs. That was the same period I
Mhm.
went to Jos. So by the time I got back, I saw that that had happened, and I spoke with RMD. I told him, okay, if you don't want it in, no problem. We do the other tracks. After all, I was one that wanted to do over 10 tracks. I think it was like 13 tracks. I don't know. I can't remember. So I guess you might have been surprised that it was my first time out. Nobody knew me in the whole industry in terms of there were veterans in there like Sam Obuzo who had been doing a lot. Mike Liam
Yeah.
was the
I
king
worked with him before.
of Yes, and they're quite close to RMD. Sam Okposo was the guy that was supposed to even do that soundtrack album. For some reason, RMD gave us the platform. So I must give him kudos. Regardless of what he heard at that point, let's not forget, this was new music.
Yeah.
It was new music, very new. Coming from Jos, cooked in Jos. That's why I was saying that what was happening, the scene in Jos was very different from the scene in Lagos. And if a guy like
What's up?
RMD I never heard anything like that at that point.
Mhm. Yeah.
Even what's her name? Onos. It tells you
Yes.
that this guy they go to many of the different spots that are happening in Lagos. They would have seen some guy that was rising in the that was in the horizon at that time, but there was nothing like that because it was brand new music.
I feel you. I feel you. So,
Even for the
in the aftermath, let's look forward a bit. Years later, um, Nigerian music evolved, and there came an era which you could call the era of the record labels. But you had done that way before any of these guys. How did you feel when that started happening? You know what I'm talking
well,
about? The Chuck Cities, the um, EMEs, the you name it.
well,
Don
okay. To
Jazzy.
be honest,
What was that?
let
Their record label called again?
Mohit.
Yeah,
Mohit
Mo
is what
Hits.
that. Yeah, but okay, let me explain this part so that you don't cut me
Mhm.
short somewhere when I'm explaining it.
I'm listening.
When we started the label, we had a problem
Yes,
of funds, just like every small business.
of course.
And we had artists that had bigger dreams than the funds we had. Because if you
Yeah.
can remember, a lot of people felt, oh well, we should be balling like the way death row guys were balling. We couldn't ball that way because number one, I just left school, no money.
Mm-hmm.
I was looking for a job, but we had ideas, and our ideas were sound, and our ideas were moving on its own merits.
Yeah.
Let's not forget one thing again. This album, let's talk about the soundtrack album. It was what Rhythm FM used to fill up that 30% local content. As at the time this came out, the airwaves were filled with foreign music. For the
Mm-hmm.
young listeners there, they should realize that there was a time that Nigerian music was hardly played on Nigerian radio.
That's
You
true.
had to you had to beg for them to play your music, and they'll play it just once. The
I feel you.
NBC gave them a 30% quota for you to play Nigerian music, 30% only. What we were able
Yeah.
to do was to play music that I know that Rhythm FM played even more than the times that they were meant to play it, because they jammed the music. They felt it was
And
up
this
to par,
was
because at that
this
time,
was
Nigerian
slightly
music was up to par.
this was slightly before I got there, right?
Of course, yes, you were not there. You were still trying to be an artist, so you were not even there. So the music was already playing on Rhythm FM. The music was playing on AIT played it a bit. Ray Power rather. Ray Power played it a
Mm-hmm.
bit because I was close to the guys Ray Power, Keke and D1.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, while this was going on, there was no money anywhere. And let me tell
Yeah.
you something, why I even slipped out of the market. It
I
wasn't
was good.
only
I
for the
was
money.
coming to that.
Yeah. Why I slipped out of the market was because after the award night, after I got there, let me even tell you, let me start from where the award nights came up. I got to
Yeah.
the award night. When I got there, it came to our own turn for soundtrack of the year. And I
Mm-hmm.
saw the list: Michael Liam, myself, and Ray Romano and Samobozo. And then the
Yes.
presenter happened to be my former sound system mate, Raskimono.
Ooh.
So Raskimono got on the podium and he read the winner is Red Ogoman or whatever. He didn't know who he was because he didn't know those two names.
Yeah.
And then I show up, and if you can watch that video again, Kimono was shocked. Hey,
Where can I
what's
find that
that?
video?
I don't know, man. You have to ask the is it Fame or Real Awards, one of them. But
Mm-hmm.
those guys, the same guys that owned Fame, started these
Yeah.
Real Awards. And he said, I used to know this guy. He was a colonel before.
Mm-hmm.
That was what he said. And, me being so shy, I just said, thank you very much, the gentleman, thank you, blah, blah. I took the award and I disappeared. Um, After that show, I got home that night. And when I got home, my mom said, hey, Leslie, where have you been? I said, I went out. He said, I was watching this award show on TV. And one guy went to pick up an award. That guy looks so much like you. I said, really? He said, yes. He said, but it can't be you. I said, why you say that? He said, you're always sleeping now. That there's no way that it can be you. How can you be doing that kind of thing and be sleeping at the same time? Because remember, I used to go to the studio by 10 p.m. at night when she had gone to bed. And anytime when she's going to work, I'll still be sleeping. When she comes back from work, I'll just be waking up, preparing to go for the next studio session by 10 p.m. So she didn't know I was doing that,
Mm-hmm.
because she would definitely don't want me to be doing anything to do with music. Don't forget, like I said in my earlier interview, my mom saw that I was doing music and said I had to go to school. So coming out of university now, I'm still going to the studio. So there was no way I was going to tell her that's what I was doing. So I told her, but I had to admit to her. I told her, I said, well, I'm the one. And she said, no, 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 no. So I went into the room and brought out the award and showed it to her. So she was like, wow, you actually did. How did you do it? Etc. Etc. Then at the end of it all, she said, I hope this is not what you want to do. You need to go and start looking for a job tomorrow. Hell, on Monday morning, I was already working on the Victoria Island streets looking for a job.
Typical parents,
Yeah.
eh?
So my cover was blown. There was no deep cover for me anymore. So I had to hit
Mm-hmm.
the streets again. So I started looking for now also coupled with the fact that we didn't have money, I felt that if I had a job and I was being paid, I would be able to, take my artist to the studio and then we'll be able to come out with something. That was why I went and got a job. So I ended up joining Anderson Consulting, now known as
And
Accenture. Imagine a
okay,
guy
well
that
then,
comes from, yeah, yeah, go ahead.
I guess that's another conversation, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, so what would you say to anybody who wants to go the path that you followed in this day and
Which
age?
path? Which path you mean?
Now, for let's say a college student today who wants to set up a business in the music business, wants to set up shop in the music business, what would you say to them?
You mean as a record label owner or as an artist?
Both ways.
If you want to be a record label owner, the challenges of managing artists, do you understand?
Of course.
That's a major challenge. So
Yes.
anyone that wants to start something like that, it's not an issue of money. It's not about whether you have money or not. Because a lot of people have set up labels with money. We don't have to
Yeah.
mention their names,
Hmm.
and it still didn't fly.
Yeah.
Managing artists, I think, has evolved to present day that artists should manage themselves. There should be labels were looked at as middlemen, and the artist
Hmm.
felt that he's the producer, the factory, and this guy is just a middleman.
Yeah.
That's the reason why artists act the way they act. They act that way because they feel, what's this label owner doing besides giving me money? There's an English saying that says that this guy is so poor that all he has is money. Yeah,
What a problem to have.
yeah. So you can be so poor that all you have is money.
Yeah.
So the artist thinks that way about the label, and the label says that if you're talking about talent, visit the cemetery. The cemetery is full of talent. Many people die with their talent. If I don't
Yeah.
put money, so it's supposed to be a partnership that
Hmm.
the artist should understand, whether it's
Yeah.
exploitative or not. That artist should realize that without this platform, I'm going nowhere
Hmm.
because money is essential. If we had money, we would have gone very far with the kind of music we came up with. Nobody had heard before. We
Yeah.
would have gone very far. But
Yeah.
because of the money, I had to withdraw to say, hey, I can't be draining myself, a young graduate. Every couple, every naira I had was to my artist. It was draining me. So
All right. Before we wrap this up, I'd like to ask you one last thing.
yeah.
There was an era in Nigerian music when there was um, kind of a lull when the industry kind of went dormant. You've been around long enough to have witnessed that. What's your take on that? This was sometime in the 90s when things just went when the record companies packed up and left. You know that era. What do you have to say about that?
Well, you see, the record companies, I'll tell you about that era because we had Premier, Sony,
Yeah,
and
those
Co. In
guys. That's what I'm referring to.
yes, yes, those guys pulled out for so many reasons, and also don't forget that most of the music that they promoted, both traditional and and reggae
Mhm.
lost its footing globally. Reggae lost footing globally. So
That far
the
back,
kind of music that, sorry,
reggae was turning more to dancehall, right? Is that what you mean?
no, even globally. Yes, on the global stage, don't forget that reggae was dying globally too. It
And
was dying
which
too.
year is it?
In the 80s, this was like towards 80s there, and then we now had our own version of Afro reggae, which
Yeah,
is the Mandela,
that's
Raskimono,
a
blah blah.
whole another conversation I'd like us to have, though.
Exactly. So those guys had their own form of reggae that appealed to the local guy, Eviedna
Hmm.
Ogoli. Those guys came out with an Africanized version. Now, I must tell you, most importantly, what led to Afro beats and why I respect the word Afro beats more than Afro beats in the sense that
Hmm.
the word Afro beats suits what is being played today.
It does.
It is not Afro beat. Afro beats is fella, but Afro
Yes,
beats is a conglomeration of different beats. We had
but
Afro R&B. We had
but you
Afro
know that
RL. Sorry, let me just say this point, then you can explain
Mhm.
anything else. We had Afro R&B, Alexo, and the rest of them. We had Afro
Yeah.
reggae, Mandela. We had Afro juju. We had Afro all kinds of beats. Now
Mhm.
we now, but we didn't. All those things did not connect with the youth at that point. The youth
No,
were
not
more
much.
connected to what was happening in America. What we did was to have Afro hip hop. That Afro hip hop now carried all those other beats and put them under the element of hip hop, and it wasn't hip hop anymore. It's now Afro beats.
Okay.
That's my explanation of what happened. Because what we were doing
Yeah,
then, I won't say Afro beats. What we were doing was hip hop in the Afro way that could appeal to the youth. Now it's
yeah, but
Afro beats.
what I was going to say is that name Afrobeats was actually coined when our music started to get to Europe. That's where the name came up.
Yeah, that's why I agree with the name. I've seen a lot of people say
Yeah.
they don't agree with the name. That's okay. You might not
Well,
agree, but if you think
it's not
about it
whether you
technically,
agree.
if you think about it technically, it's
Mhm.
about the beats, the conglomeration of beats coming together.
But in my opinion, I don't think Nigerians would have called it that
It doesn't see.
because
It
of
doesn't matter.
Fela
The
and
music, the music will be
how
called
big
something
he is.
by somebody else. The
Yeah,
music will be called something by somebody else. It'll be coined by one guy and then it goes viral.
exactly.
You
So that name was coined by somebody, I think, in the UK, if I'm not mistaken. All right, Leslie, thanks a lot for coming by. It's been a pleasure talking to you. We have to do this again. I know you're a busy man, but I'm going to try my best and bother you so we can do it again. So
All right.
it's been interesting. We've heard a lot of stories which a lot of folks out there didn't know. So thanks for coming by, and we'll do this again really soon.
All right. Take care, man.
All right.
All right. Bye.
All right. So it's LD all day. Time for us to sign off now. Remember that if you had a good time here, you can always show us some love. Hit that button that shows that you love what you saw here so we can do it again. We're going to be coming your way with lots of backstories regarding the Nigerian music scene before Afro beats, before we actually come to that era. So I'll see you in my next video. Thanks for looking in.